I keep wondering, with nature being so abundant, why is it that we have such a scarcity mindset? And I realize most of it has to do with one thing: programming.
Many of you probably know Rockefeller as like this business tycoon, or maybe like some of you might know him as like an oil titan. But what he actually did was provide immense amounts of capital to influence key societal systems such as oil and gas, so that would be the energy system, the workforce, and he did that via the Industrial Revolution, which I'll get into, education, and the whole purpose of him infiltrating education was to indoctrinate mass amounts of workers for his factories that I just referenced. Healthcare, where he ran these crazy campaigns we'll get into, basically around propaganda to discredit holistic forms of medicine and replace them with Western medicine, and ultimately the monetary system itself, because he also had his hands in the Federal Reserve.
Obviously, recently there's been a huge focus on banks and money and this sense of instability, because if all your money disappears in the bank, what are you going to do, right? All of this is like playing musical chairs. I mean, the music is going, all the money's flowing, just like the music, and then when it stops, you better have a chair to sit in when it's done, right? All this chaos, I feel like, is revealed for me anyway, that I've unknowingly fallen under the spell of the freedom trap. The freedom trap is this idea that you need to escape something to be free. When in fact we were already free. We just need to recognize our true nature and make decisions from there rather than from the programming that we've had since we were born.
During the most formative years of your life, if you go to any traditional school, you are educated or programmed in a very specific way. At schools today, there is no focus on critical thinking. In most schools in the developing world, there is no education pushing children into entrepreneurship or creating products or services when they leave school. And almost without fail, the education system does not touch on anything related to finances. Managing your finances, growing your wealth when you're outside of school, mastering your finances, mortgages, tax, nothing. Sure, lots of jobs have changed since the Industrial Revolution, but the education system still is creating employees and paycheck to paycheck workers.
One way to look at the freedom trap is through the lens of fear that surrounds the news today in terms of nuclear war. Could the fear of nuclear war go away if the bombs went away?
Visited by a yogi who said to him, look, what does it matter if we get rid of nuclear weapons? We are still the consciousness that created nuclear weapons. It will find some other outlet. What we need to address is the inner space, this intention, this attention, the desire to create that kind of technology. As long as we have that, we won't resolve the issue. The nuclear weapon is a symbol, an emblem, an expression of that phenomena, of that frequency.
Yeah. Basically, the idea is that there's an inherent consciousness that we need to go beyond before we eliminate anything like the threat of nuclear war. Unless we update the consciousness, that war comes back. And that's true for a lot of different things. Even if we had free energy and all of the amazing technologies, if we still have that low-level consciousness, it won't do us much good. Because the same people will come under control of it. We'll have the same fear mindsets going on. We have to uncover the unconscious programming that's been there for a long, long time. So much unconscious programming is basically woven into what we think of as important and how we think, making the real first hurdle to freedom within the mind. Now, maybe I want to blame a lot of the control mechanisms from the outer world. In the end, I see where my real freedom comes, obviously, from within. Once I identify the core programming, I can then start to identify and unravel my own thought process independent of the overall system. Now, once that's done, it's just a matter of navigating the language of freedom. After watching Jade Griffin, I realized that the law itself has a lot of language that is misunderstood or actually weaponized against us. And so it's understanding that language that provides freedom as well. Until we start to understand the language of law, it's really easy to, although feel free, actually still be subjugated to the larger mechanisms. Once you have freedom in your mind, you need freedom in the outer construct. Understanding language and how law works means that your efforts towards freedom are leveraged further. Now, how far that freedom goes is really up to each of us, because I know there's a lot of people around us who are also keeping us within the system itself, mostly having to do, of course, with our well-being. It seems like the more free you are, the more you have to take responsibility for your own life, and the more the risks kind of increase. This, of course, scares a lot of people away. If anything, our society has done a really good job of keeping people feeling like they're safer when they're controlled. Now, who and what the boogeyman is might change over time, but the end results are always the same, ruling through fear. We live in such a world of abundance, and yet so much of what we experience is through the lens of lack. Everything is always in scarcity, and that is by design. It's another of the fear mechanisms, I think, that are in place. I think one of the ways that we can be free is basically flip that on its head and really actually embrace fully the sense of abundance. So instead of just surviving through the chaos, is there a way to thrive our way forward? And I think there is. I'm on a quest to figure out what that is, to basically uncover more of the programming within myself and get rid of it. And in the process, become more free and also learn more about meaning, language, and law. I thought I was on my way, but this most recent scare with the banks has definitely revealed my limitations in terms of being free. If anything, I've realized I need to widen my gaze more and put more trust in the overall universe. So there's a lot to consider when you're kind of deprogramming your mind, right? So I'll be sharing my quest alongside my newfound respect for language to assure the deprogramming lands on fertile soil. I'm convinced that each of us are free already. We just need to navigate the ongoing propaganda. It influences our day-to-day decisions and our consciousness from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a like. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.